I was about to do like my regular videos, but this came up, so this is gonna be my daily ritual videos of reality check. For me, it's always about putting things back in perspective, as I understand that reality for me is being redesigned in fashion that paint me in certain ways, and the truth is, as a target individual, you truly are being redesigned and recreated as somebody you're not. And for me, these perps who think, I think they, I mean, I think at this point it's just a matter of time. They're gonna get the chance to see how much of a target individual like how much of it I'm identifying to. And if it's something they doubt, like I said, it's not a threat, but it's something I know I will make sure that this is not something, like I want to ensure, and not even ensure that, I want to make sure that these perps, as they behave the way they need to behave in order to gaslight me, to break me down, understand that it's at their own risk. And you are playing theatrical, and the theater is being recognized for the theater it is. Now, with that being said, there's a consequences for the theater that you're gonna do, and if you're willing to put yourself out there in this fashion, I don't have anything to lose. But in the meantime, for me, I need to strengthen reality, reinforce reality, and the reality is nasty, it's foul, but that's what target major deal with. I'm going to start off with the reality of what's happening here. I'm a TI. Target individuals are the test subject the government utilize. What's happening as a target individual? A lot of terrible things around you is happening. Your health is being destroyed. Your sanity is being tormented. It's being broken down, and your whole surrounding is there's an ecosystem created for the sole purpose of breaking you down. The participants are any like everyday people. They're just nobody special, but they will do everything possible to break you down and make you identify with this. Now, if me at this point, um, I make it clear, and I'll make even more clear, and I'll escalate that as much as needed. That I know what you're doing. You know that I know that things that's happening to me is things that are being manipulated, and I know your job is to make me subscribe to that. If you behave this way in front of me, I reassure you, as a perp, I will behave accordingly. And this is not a threat. This is just a warning of how things are gonna go. I don't respect this trash. I see them for what they're proud of, and I know me, and I will never identify with this manipulation, especially when it comes from clowns who's trying to gaslight me when I don't even respect them. They're strangers to me. They're nothing to me, and it's the facade that they were supposed to be like assessing and decoding my brain and all this bullshit that is falsified. That is just far from the truth. What's happening to you as a target individual is there's an ecosystem around you for the sole purpose of supporting this technology that is altering you, manipulating you. This ecosystem comes in all shape or form. Currently, I live here, so there's neighbors, there's people wherever I go that try to make you think that, oh my gosh, we're just saying these things that's so disgustingly falsified. It's so bull. Let me just say this again. It's just the gimmicks. This is how they behave, because they truly want you to think that you are not being manipulated, you are not being altered, you are not being changed, and this is just them observing the experiences that are naturally experienced. As target individual, you are a guinea pig, a test subject. Weapon systems, or I should just call it technology, that can alter your mind is also implemented in a lot of us target individual. So they can manipulate you to have perceptions of certain nature, stimulation of certain nature, and they make it degrading. That's why it's weaponized. It's a neural weapon. Now, what these clowns around you are supposed to be doing is to make you believe that this is not this technology doing anything to you. So with me, they use different verbiage like now we're decoding, we're decrypting, we're mapping, and it's the same. Well, is they do the same thing, but the manipulations are not being called manipulation. And then they try to gaslight you, and they try to use whatever they can. It's very, very childlike. For me, it's clear that this trash goal right now is to make you identify with the clear manipulation. This is an example here. There's three examples. Some extreme, some less extreme. First, you see picture of little kids. You see, like there was like a whole like African family, a kid being held on. They try to make me imagine that being a girl, because when it's a girl, it's supposed to be real. Black little girl, especially black little African girl, is like, oh, that's you. We mapped it to you as a child. It's them just manipulating my brain. But it was actually a little boy, and just made me imagine a black little girl, and then gave me the stimulation. Then you see this like 1989 Harlem documentary, and you see these little Hispanic kids over there. They stimulate me there. They try to make me see these little kids in these ways and give me this like sexual stimulation, which is funny because I live in an area where there's a lot of Hispanics. So when they try to like do the same when I see these their little kids, it's so nasty. And then you see an ad where this is like less extreme, because these are kids, but kids that look closer to adults. Some of them actually from afar, I thought, I was like, are they young adults or just like teenagers? And when you zoom in, as you can see there, once you zoom, you realize they do look like teenager. They're most likely like teenage kid. They look 16, 17ish. They look teenager, but you have to zoom in and kind of see the faces to notice them to be the teenager that they are. So, but the manipulation there is not as extreme because they do that to the little ones. So the older kids who can pass for young adults, that becomes an easier manipulation because you're just forcing me to perceive this teenage kids into like young adults, and some of them look close to young adults. So the manipulation is less extreme. Now, all of that is manipulation from the extreme to the least extreme. Then these clowns around you they do things to gaslight you. And as I say that, they try to make me say something else, but they try to make you believe that they're not just manipulating you, there's an observation, and they do say things, and they really try to break you down into accepting this. This is the constant repetition and brainwashing tactics. Nowadays, I say that in their faces, like, clowns, I know you do that to the youngest. So that's a great example here, from the extreme to the least extreme. You do that to the babies over there, what you gonna do to the teenagers? It's clear. And with me, it's so bad because they add the reality. What they do with me is they've done, well, what they're saying they're doing and what they're saying they've done already is they frame me with children. You've seen videos, like short videos of some random kids like, that's child rape. She said we're rape. Apparently they're making it look like I'm raping a child here. That's why if you go into my like short video, that random green video that you're seeing there, it's a kids yelling or some teenage trash. I don't even want to call them kids. I don't want to humanize them. It's just calling, yeah, it's child rape, because they're saying things that I'm not aware of, but to stay in character, right? They're saying that a lot like it's real. Because they even call it's their reality. So it's about redesigning reality and stay within this false reality they created. So that's why she yells out like that, nervous, because she knows it's something that's falsified. It's a frame. They're framing me this way. To stay in tune with that frame, they want to play this, but they think I'm supposed to be pacified and pacific and just be calm. And so they do all this noise. It's so, like, one thing I have to say. What is happening to my brain? There's nothing I can do. I'm defenseless about that. But the failed brainwashing, for example, this weeping noise, is all these things. They think that it's working. They really think that I'm being scared into accepting this manipulation. Oh my gosh, I say that in their faces with no shame. I insult them. I have this tactic of pretending like I'm on the phone. and say all these things that I want them to hear me to say in their faces. And then I have a body cam. So I'm like, if we want to take it to there, we'll go there. Do your noise campaign. Watch me in your face. So they're framing me with children. That's what they tell me. That's what you heard even in that video. Some child saying, it's child rape. They talk about a child pretending to get raped. And also, there's another brainwashing that's happening in regard of who's doing that to me. Now, target visual, please understand something clear. The government is doing that to you. What is presented to you is to disorient you and confuse you into something else. Some target visual think it's a cult. Some target visual think it's this and that. Some is a governmental entity utilizing a test subject to develop a technology that's weaponized. The efficacy of this technology is improved utilizing human subject, and the technology is meant to be breaking down the target visual. That's what this is. For example, when they stimulated me, like actually they did it. They wait till the teenager because the teenager look more like adults, so they make me look at this the teenage girls like adults, young adults, right, and give me sexual stimulation. Now that manipulation is not that drastic because, as you can see, this teenager could pass for like young adults. If you zoom in their faces, that's when you notice the obviousness. That's when you start noticing, oh, they're just teenagers, right? But they can play with me in this fashion because they make me perceive these kids like they adults. But the babies over there, that becomes the more drastic manipulation. It's nasty. And it's funny for me. What they do to make me acceptive of this manipulation toward the teenager, for example, this one, they make me think, oh, but in 2014 you follow this person who there's this girl. This girl who's married now, who I thought was an adult. She looked like an adult when she wasn't. It's one of those people who look older than their age. And so they're using that as validation that today I'm not being manipulated because I've thought that this person who I thought was a teenager, an adult, when she wasn't. And today, when they make me have this sexual stimulation toward these kids, from the babies, especially the teenager, they bring up this girl, Ocean, who's actually getting married, who looks almost the same. The only difference is she's gained weight now. I think she's pregnant. And so today they're like, yeah, no, you're perfect. It's like, no, you're manipulating me to have sexual arousal toward these kids. From the youngest one to the oldest kids. Now, obviously, the oldest kids is going to be easier because they could pass for somebody who's young adults. Right? They appear like they're young adults, so you can make me imagine, you can have me have the stimulation. And they play with my perception, so it's even, I even knew they were teenager before I even saw the picture. I was like, oh, I can feel this stimulation. I was about to take a screenshot. Like they look like I got the stimulation that they make me have when they make me have this stimulation toward teenager. You can feel it. They give you this stimulation, these sensations. Now I'm surrounded by these clowns. Like, yeah, I'm a young adult. They're kids and they're teenage kids that they know I'm gonna crash. I'm gonna snap when I see this trash. They know that. And they're like, no, we proved that trash. You prove that you're gonna frame me. Okay, what does it prove? Exactly. It proved that they're going to falsify reality. It proved that they're going to have things that are not true be presented as true. That's what they're proving, actually. So for me, I'm like, oh, the people who are framing me are supposed to make me look like they're not just manipulating my brain. Okay, that's going to work. And they use any random stuff. Earlier on, I was listening to somebody says, so tiny, weeny, teeny, something like that. And they were making me think, and excuse my language, but I remember watching like adult content, and there was this adult star. It was maybe in the 20s. She had like a long sleeve, like tattoos around her arm and whatnot. And I look at it, and then the title becomes like teeny something. I was like, oh, okay. Ugh. And they're like, yeah, you say teeny, you want teeny? No, I don't. But there's a lot of people who's into that, and so that's why this thing comes up like that. And they're like, yeah, we're young. You want something? No, you're not young adults. You're teenage kids pretending to get raped, try to make it look like you're not manipulating me, and you don't understand. Well, let me just say this better. You think I'm going to be passive, and then when I'm going to react the way I should be reacting, I think you're going to be shocked. Targeting me, yeah, be strong. And they want me to think, no, it's our money, it's the money of this feminist program. No, it's a program led by the government, utilizing teenage trash like them to participate in the implementation of the targeting. Target individuals, stay strong. Understand yourself. Understand who you are. Understand their job is to break you down and make you be somebody you're not. And see this trash for what they are.